Hello, hello, hello. I have a friend with me today. Her name is Bonnie O'Boyle, and I want to introduce you to her. Bonnie is a vibrant, loving speaker, and her specialty is helping people in their journey in loving themselves. Bonnie is probably one of the most creative people I have ever met and ever known. She is a Reiki master. She's actually practiced Reiki for the last 12 years, and she has a knack for getting herself out of the way so that spirit can move freely through her. One woman described a session with Bonnie, her Reiki, as when Bonnie touches you, it's like warm, tingly, ooey gooey, which sounds delightful to me. Bonnie also she has a master's in science and a certificate in rehabilitation counseling, and she's actually spent the last 20 years in that field helping people with disabilities, learning to realize their potential. Bonnie is also an inspirational writer, a songwriter, and an author. She uses her songs in her workshops and in individual sessions to help people kind of connect really deeply at a heart level and have it, be a more deeply and more moving experience for them. She also has 2 books. She has a spiritual metaphysical novel that's called In the Beginning, which I can't wait to read, and a children's book called The Dream Keeper that teaches children how to lucid dream and to overcome their nightmares. And Bonnie is just, like I said, one of the most creative individuals on the planet that I know. And one of the things that I love about Bonnie and her work is that she has this way of blending this deep, heart-centered approach with laughter, levity, and this keen insight of combining those two in a way that produces these amazing, enlightening moments for people. And one thing that I'm thinking of specifically are the plays that I've seen Bonnie write and produce. They're just transformational, and so I'm really looking forward to the books, Bonnie. So welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. This is fun.
So I have a question to start off with for you, and the question is, why do you do what you do?
Well, because I just love all of these people so much. There's so much beauty in the world and the beings that walk on this planet, and I really hope that I can help be a part of the shift taking place on this planet by individually, one-on-one, or with groups of people, helping them to realize that bliss is our birthright, that we are here to live in joy. That's why our internal compass tells us that, it feels good if you're happy and laughing. It feels horrible if you're crying and mad and upset. So we have this internal compass that tells us this is our birthright. And the more people I can bring onto the bliss parade, the better.
Awesome. Well, I have a whole series of questions that go into the You First project, and so I want to jump into those. So in this You First project, meaning that we're helping people realize that are putting everybody else and everything else before them, learn how to make that shift, to put themselves first, and to reorder and reprioritize their lives so that their lives are nurturing and nourishing for themselves. And the inspiration behind this is to inspire particularly women to make that shift. I'm hoping that through these recordings and interviews that they'll gain some nuggets of wisdom and be able to learn from your experience so that it can make that shift easier. They're able to see examples, and maybe it's not so scary for them after they're seeing a real life human being doing it. So the first question is, why do you think this topic is important for us as women to discuss, putting ourselves first?
In our society, we are told that we don't have value unless we're taking care of somebody or doing something for somebody else. And I really strongly believe that each being, women and men, we all have this intrinsic value just from being. And we run around like trying to give ourselves value by doing. But really, have you ever looked at a newborn and not seen value? A newborn baby, you're holding this baby and you're like, oh my goodness, this is the most precious being in the world. Every time, it doesn't matter how many newborns you hold, every one is the most precious one ever. And each one of us has that inside of us. And you don't expect that newborn baby to run around helping you out with this or that. They're just perfect and valuable just because of being. And you are perfect and valuable just because of your beingness. You don't have to do anything.
So it's that inherent value kind of bringing us back to that truth.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So sometimes in life we can get caught up in that doing, in doing for people, and not even really realize that that's what we're doing. So what do you think are some of the signs for a woman to look for that would signal to her, oh, hold on a second, I'm in this doing mode for everyone else, and I'm not honoring that inherent value and the truth of how precious I am? What would she look for?
Well, actually, it's something that you taught me, Christi, is to pay attention to my body. Our bodies are these amazing tools of communication to us. And so if I have a knot in my stomach, if I have a lump in my throat, if I feel my brow is furrowed, if I feel tension in my shoulders, I know I'm not in alignment with my truth. I'm not in alignment with the being, the life that I am to be walking on this earth. And so I have become much better at paying attention to my body through your class and other learning experiences I've had. And so I really, will shift. I'll notice it. And my thoughts also, I think, are when you notice your thoughts are negative or resentful, or if you're saying the word should, need, ought to, must, all of those kind of words that we use, like I need to do this, I need to do that, that those words are indicators to us that we're not walking our truth, that we're just like being pulled along by the life foundation. So to be able to refocus and recenter and say, okay, this isn't working for me, how can I make this more of an effortless path?
So then it's getting in touch with your body, to take a look at those, inventory those body signals, and then also notice the words and the feelings. The
emotion. Right, yeah. I didn't say that. That's true. Also, if you're feeling frustrated, something's not right, because that's our internal compass, right? The frustration and the irritation and the annoyance. Oh, something is not going right. I'm expending all of my energy and I am not filled up myself. And so that is where those emotions emerge from, is that feeling of emptiness from giving everything of ourselves and not keeping the basics of what we need to be able to live a life of vibrancy and joy and bliss.
Yeah, that goes right back to your opening, that internal compass. Is it feeling bliss-filled, or is it not? And being able to tune into those polarities.
Exactly.
So tell us a little bit about your journey in going from putting other people first to putting yourself first. What was that like?
Well, it was kind of difficult to shift at first, because there was so much programming to overcome. The thoughts, the guilt that you feel is like when I did my sabbatical with your class, and I wasn't doing housework, and there was all these things that didn't fill me, that I took a break from. And, our kids are really good at, like, making us feel bad. Or actually, they're not making us feel bad. We get to decide how we feel. But, there are these triggers, and we end up having these emotions of guilt. So it was a bit challenging at first. However, it's so worth it because, like, I went from where, like, everything in my whole life was about supporting the youth group and supporting the church I was going to and supporting my kids and supporting my boyfriend and all of my energy and my job, all of my energy was going into that. And there was just nothing left for me. And now it's like I know, I get to have my dreams. I get to pursue my writings, and I get to pursue my music, and I get to do what Spirit's guiding me to do. So if you're so caught up in what everybody else wants, then how is Spirit going to guide you to, like, your truth, a path that is your blueprint that you were born with, that you agreed to do or to be when you came into this lifetime? If you have all this chatter about, I got to do this for all of these people, then you can't center and be with God and know what Spirit intends for you and what you and Spirit are co-collaborating on.
That's beautiful. I opened saying that, you're one of the most creative people I know, and you were creative before I saw you go through this process. And after, it was almost as if I'm watching you go through this creative renaissance. It's almost as if you freed up so much space to allow the divine to flow through you in forms of songs and books, writing, workshops. I have seen you just blossom and do so many things. It's been beautiful to see. Do you feel that? Do you feel that difference?
I do. I feel so much lighter now than I was, and people tell me I look younger, and it's like I cry many, many, many tears of joy often, and very rarely do I have a down, and when it is, it's just a slight down. It's like, and it's interesting because I noticed the contrast, and usually it's because I've had a big high as far as, like, I've sung in a concert or something that was huge, and then from that, I hit my joy thermostat, which you also taught me about from the book The Big Leap. And then I just sit and meditate, and I send that I call up that feeling from that big high that I had, and I send it to all the cells in my body, and I just keep bumping up my joy thermostat more and more and more, and I've just gotten to where it's like the top, like, so cool. Everything is just falling into place. And when I focus on Spirit and my connection with Spirit and just what step I have going on right now, not worrying about what's going to happen in the future, am I meant to do this, am I meant to do that, just what step is right in front of me that I'm working on now, and my connection with God, everything just falls into place. It's amazing how it happens.
Beautiful. There was something that, I love the way you described hitting an upper limit and then acclimating the cells of your body to be in harmony with that upper level. I love the way you described that. This is a little embarrassing, but I didn't plug my power in before we started, and if I don't stop to do this right now, I'm going to not have power to finish this, so I'll be right back.
Okay. That's fine. Shall I keep talking about something? I'll just keep going while you're plugging in.
Yeah, sure. Let me ask you the next question, and people can ignore my movement here. So what do you think was the catalyst for you in making your shift? Like, well, let me ask that question first. What was the catalyst in your life for you switching from the way it was to the way it is now?
Well, I guess in each stage of my life, there's been a catalyst. Like, you're climbing up a mountain basically, and so you might be at this level. Like 20 years ago, when I think of myself, I definitely had depression. I was definitely in a really low place, and I was in an abusive marriage, and I had some really negative life circumstances going on, and that was the catalyst to get me to go seek and find unity. And then, sometimes it comes in the form of a breakup. Sometimes it comes in the form of, a financial difficulty or a health problem. But so often those things in our life that there's the tragedies are really what wakes us up and helps us realize, oh, this doesn't feel good. I don't want this. I want that. That's going to feel good. And then we can find those steps to move towards our joy and towards our bliss. And so as I've climbed up the mountain, I've just become more and more capable. I have a greater and greater capacity for joy, a greater and greater expansiveness of knowing my truth and who I am.
You're such a beautiful example. There's a quote that a mutual friend of ours, Kim Hodis, has, and she says that difficulties arise not to destroy you, but to develop you. And what you described is you've used those difficulties that showed up in your life to the contrast to show you what you want, and you've used that as a launching pad many, many times to get you to the next place that you want to be.
Right. And I think also that's not the only way to do it. You can be stuck at your level and not continue growing and have some kind of something come to move you to the next level. But I think you can also choose to, in a repetitious manner, install that growth by going to spiritual experiences, classes, like your class was great for me for growth. So you can climb up that mountain. I think as long as we're climbing up and becoming a higher and higher vibration of ourselves, that we may or may not need those tragedies to happen in our life to get us to move. It's about staying on the green growing edge of your becomingness, as Mary Morrissey says in Prosperity Plus.
Yes. And it's interesting watching you kind of visually represent those steps. What comes to mind for me is that some of these steps that might occur earlier in our life that we might view as happening to us, these external circumstances happening to us, when you get to that point where you're living from a centered place, then you become, you start doing your own stretches. So, for example, you may perform a song in front of a room, huge room full of people. That's your stretch, and that was a self-imposed stretch. And then that stretches you to the next level and to the next level. So it's almost as if this becomes a more enjoyable experience. It's one of our conscious choice in making. But I'm wondering, when you're in, before you shifted, or as you were shifting each time, was there something that you were scared of? What do you think was holding you back from really owning your power and really being connected with who you are and allowing Spirit to move through you? What do you think was holding you back from that?
I think fear is always what's holding us back, and it doesn't matter what emotion we're masking that fear with, whether it's frustration or anger or sorrow or whatever. It's all based in fear. And I think I was really comfortable being the YOU sponsor at Unity for 10 years. I really loved those kids, and I had that connection. And it was so hard for me to think about doing something different and really pursuing my career. And now it's just grand beauty. Now that I've made that leap and I'm doing that, and I think everything we always have fear come up. And that's just ego. It's our ego talking to us. Our ego wants to have its life. It wants to say, oh, no, you can't do that because of this, and this, and this, and this. But really, once we can become active as our observer and like make that ego either very minimal or completely eliminated from our life, then we discover that we really all one with God. We really do have this, we're powerful, creative beings, and to whatever vibratory level we can raise ourselves to, we can create the world around us that we live in. And whether, if you're at a low vibration, you're creating the world around you also, is the thing. I think you're just creating more slowly when you're at a lower vibration. So there's a little bit more of a delay, so you have a chance to change your mind. But the higher your vibration gets, the faster that you're able to create the circumstances and things you want to.
Mm-hmm. And one thing that you said there, I wanted to go back and just touch on, because earlier we were talking about maybe getting experiences that would take you to the next level, and some of those experiences showing you what you don't want so that you can see what you do want. However, like I personally know that you are a phenomenal youth group leader. I mean, 2 of my kids were blessed, like enormously blessed to have you in their lives. And so there wasn't like a negative to that. I mean, it's that you get to a place where it's, you know, it's not necessarily that this is a negative, a situation is negative. It's just that I'm wondering if this is true for you. It seems as though there were other options that opened up for you. And I'm wondering, like, if what thoughts you might have around that, around shifting things, even if they're good, that they could be better.
Yeah, and it's easy to get stuck when you're at a comfortable level. I think, I guess for me, in retrospect, as I look back on my life, it's like I think my earlier stage of life was really about breaking down ego, you know, and really getting me to a place where I have this complete appreciation for the beings that are walking this planet with me. And the journey with those teenagers was about figuring out that I was cool. So kind of like instead of being in this low state, like now, oh, wow, I'm cool. I didn't really know that before, and until I had a group of teenagers that basically told me, you know, how wonderful I was all the time. And I think that experience also was for networking, because I'm connected with so many people. And now that I'm looking at knowing that what's emerging for me is traveling and speaking, I know that across the southern United States, there are people that I could stay with and connect with that invite me to come to their church to speak. So it was a connecting and networking. And I think at the end with the teenagers, I was feeling more frustrated and less satisfied. So I think we do get those emotional and those body clues to ourselves that, you know, even though this is good and it's wonderful and it's comfortable, I'm not on the green growing edge of my becomingness at this moment. There's something else, there's something more that's beckoning to me. And it's important that we listen to that call.
Mm-hmm. So right there, that space to be being tuned into that, what do you think helps you tune into that and do that deep listening so that you know? I
meditate every day for 30 minutes. And each year I've added a little bit more time on that. There is a great app called Insight Timer that I just want to plug in, because I'm always telling people about Insight Timer. It's social networking for meditators, basically, and you can see all the people who are meditating at the same time as you. And it also kind of keeps up with your meditation stats, like how many days in a row, how many hours total you've meditated. So it's a meditation timer, and I use that every day and meditate. I really enjoy going to silent retreats. I do that very often. I like walking by the lake. That helps me to connect inside to my inner voice. Being in nature in general is just a really good place to connect with your inner voice. And I think also like spiritual classes and new thought classes or women's empowerment classes, all of those are very, very good for helping us to stay on on our path of becoming this. And I also dowse, you can do strength testing with your body. I do the making a ring with my finger, and this is a no and this is a yes. I use a pendulum to dowse sometimes. I dream dowse. I sometimes will send a question into my dreamscape to get an answer, and I get some of the most wise, profound answers on my dreams.
That's a lot. Where would you suggest somebody start?
Meditating. That's the basic. And I would say a lot of times people are like, oh, I don't have time to meditate, or I can't sit still, or I can't get my brain to shut off. And it's not, we get into the self-criticism, oh, this really isn't working, this really isn't helping. But I would say everybody has 5 or 10 minutes a day. And if you can just start a regular meditation practice with a short amount of time, and if thoughts pop up, don't beat yourself up. Be gentle with yourself. It's what I always advise people to do. Be gentle with yourself. And just gently bring your thoughts back to your breathing, or another good meditation tool is if you just sit right now and hold your hands and just focus on your hands for a moment and take a deep breath, you can feel a vibration in your hands. You can feel a buzzing or a tingling in your hands. That's the best meditation tool ever. Just focus on that buzzing or tingling in your hands. And the brain thinks. That's what it does. I've been meditating, I can't even tell you how many years and how many complete total hours of meditation, thousands of hours of meditation I've taught. And do you think that my brain completely shuts off all the time every time I meditate? No, it doesn't. I'm here to confess to you that it does not. And it's okay. It's okay when my thoughts come up, and I'll notice, oh, my brain's thinking again, and I'll just bring myself back to my breath or to the tingling in my hands. It's okay to think, and it doesn't mean it isn't doing you good. It doesn't mean that you're not really meditating. It just means you have a brain. We all got one.
Yeah, it's good to work with it, not against
it.
So tell me, what is better about your life now that you've shifted and you're living in this way of putting you first and being in alignment? What's better?
Well, my emotional state is so much better. I have so few instances of frustration or downness. I mean, even my dog that I've had for 15 years passed away a few months ago. And I did have some sadness. I'm not going to deny that I had the human experience. And I automatically started thinking about why I was grateful my dog was dead and how free my dog was now. And so I tend to focus on the good. I tend to focus on what I'm grateful for. That's where my thoughts tend to be, instead of on worrying about bills or worrying about, whatever obligation I have going on that I need to do. I have more time to go with the flow. Like, instead of having my whole life scheduled out with this service or that service, I have more time to just flow with what may be calling me, which sometimes it's people wanting Reiki, and I do share a lot of Reiki, so that is the way that I'm still giving to others. But the neat thing about Reiki is that every time I give, I'm also receiving. So it always centers me. And it's a way that I'm connecting with Source and with guidance for myself and for the other person. So it's something I really enjoy doing with my time.
So what was that?
Did I answer the question? I forget what the question was.
Yeah. It was what was better about your life now.
Yeah.
Everything.
That's the short answer. Everything about my life.
So what about with change? Anytime we're changing something, we're presented with a new level of bliss, a new level of things going well, and also a new level of challenges. And so I'm wondering, I don't want to say that, this is all, unicorns and rainbows over here, changing to this way, but I want to accurately kind of prepare women for what challenges they might face. So what do you think are some challenges that you face now that you wouldn't have faced in the past? Like, what are the different kinds of challenges that you have?
Well, I think part of what's challenging for me is staying in the now and focusing on what I have going on now instead of like what's it going to be, because the things emerging in my life are very exciting, and I tend to want to be like, oh, what's going on out there? Again, Mary Morrissey talks about in Prosperity Plus 2 that she has taken several journeys to Jerusalem, to the Holy Land, and that back in the days of Jesus, they would actually strap lamps to their feet because they had to travel at night because it's too hot during the day. And so they could literally only see the next step. And it's been my habit to worry about what's going on out there in the dark. Oh, am I going to trip over that rock or that, and so one of the challenges for me is staying focused on this next step and not projecting out too far before I get far enough up the mountain to really see where Spirit is leading me. I think sometimes it's challenging when you have a life that's really bright and you're really living in bliss, and you're around people who are so stuck in negative thoughts and so stuck in all of those people out there are doing all of this to me, that it's hard, because it's like I want to be like, look, Bliss is over here, come on, you can do it. And sometimes people just, it's like they're so stuck they can't see past their negative thoughts, they can't see past the victim mentality and that everybody else is doing it, and they can't help having this problem because we look at these circumstances, and we all have circumstances that come up in our lives. Things happen in this earth plane that are tough. And one of my very favorite things is wisdom says there is no pain, compassion says it hurts anyone.
Could you repeat that?
Wisdom says there is no pain. Compassion says it hurts anyone.
Wow.
And so to have compassion for people, I have such a deep compassion and love for people. And so it's like, and I'm an empath, so I feel other people's emotions. I'm feeling up this turmoil inside this other person and just breathing in their turmoil and washing it with my heart and breathing back out peace and doing everything that I can to help, and they still have to choose it. Mm-hmm. I can't choose it for them. They have to choose it for themselves and take the steps themselves. I can show them the way. I can light up the rocks on the path. This is the way. And they still they have the gift of free will that we all have. And sometimes it's uncomfortable for them to be around me. They're jealous. I've had friends have jealousy rise up because I have this joyful life and they don't. And those friendships either end up, that person elevates, or the friendship ends up dissolving. And I want to be friends with everybody. And it's not that I don't love them. It's just that we don't hang out anymore because I'm not going to bend my light. That's a Kate thing. Kate always says, you shine your light in all directions as brightly as you can. And if somebody wants you to bend your light or dim your light for them, don't do that. Don't dim your light or bend your light for anybody, because that's your truth. That's who you are. And so those are, I guess, some of the challenges of walking this path of Bliss.
I wanted to put like an exclamation point on something that you said, and it was the point about nobody else can do this for you.
Right.
It's a choice that each one of us has to make, and so if you're waiting for somebody else, like your partner or your friend, or it's not going to happen. It's an inside job, and so which is challenging and freeing at the same time.
It is. It is a dichotomy. It's like it's challenging to think that, oh wow, I have to do this. I can't get somebody else to do it, and I have to muster the strength to be able to do it. And also, it's like I get to create my life. What do I choose? What do I want to do? The world is my oyster, literally.
And that's so much more fun than the alternative. So let's see. Let me check my questions here. Okay. So looking back, what do you think the cost was of you dimming your light and putting others first. What did that cost you?
I think it cost me my self-esteem. You know, it's like I was last. I got to be last. Everybody else got to be first. And then as I got to where I loved myself more, I still had this, well, there's so many beautiful people out there. I love them all so much. And how can I have that much love for me? You know, because that's a huge love, that love that I have for all those people. How can I bring that, you know, here and bring it home? And so that was a cost. And to be able to get to this bliss state, I had to give that up. I had to give up putting other people first. I had to give up not knowing how powerful I am, you know, and you know, when you realize that you're a powerful, creative being of light, then where's your excuse? You know, you don't have an excuse. You can say, oh well, yeah, I only get paid this much on my job, but you know, is your job your source of supply? It is not. We live in an abundant universe. So
yeah.
I had to give up my excuses.
You give up what?
My excuses.
Give up your excuses. Yeah, I'm reminded of that verse by Marianne Williamson about how we're more, it's not our, if I could remember it, it's basically our light that most frightens us.
All right.
Yeah, because that's a big thing, to really own your power and accept responsibility for everything that's going on in your life. That's it's a huge thing.
Yeah, and I'll still have thoughts pop up like, maybe I picked too big of a dream for myself. And then I just laugh because it's ridiculous.
I love watching you dream and how things just happen in your life. You're an amazing example. I really love being a witness. So let me see.
The same about you.
Oh, thank you. So what do you think has been your payoff then for putting yourself first?
Well, bliss for sure is definitely a payoff. I'm connected with a lot more people, because when you're shining your light, like you attract other light, like light attracts light, and so I have the most supportive group of friends I've ever had in my entire life. I mean, if I have a need, I just say it. Somebody's like, "Oh, I want to help with that," you know, or somebody has information for me. It's like I use it in service of other people. Like Ben Worth came into town and said he was just amazed at my networking because I helped him get connected with all these different people and made him have a really successful visit with just all these. I just have all this love and joy, and I get massages every other week because I'm trading massages with a friend who's teaching me massage technique. You know, I've always wanted to have massages, so that's the way that I'm getting that need met. And so it's like, doesn't matter what the need is, I just put it out there, and the universe is like, oh, okay, here.
What an awesome payoff.
That is an awesome payoff. Yeah.
I had an image there when you were talking, because you're like this metaphysical, spiritual, networking butterfly, and you go to different groups and different people, and you're able to like somehow cross-pollinate and make things happen. And you just pulled off a concert with a New Thought performer.
Right, Joshua Smith and Eddie Watkins Jr. YouTube them. They're amazing musicians. And me too. You can YouTube me. I have some songs on there too.
That's awesome. And so some people will never have known about that. You pulled different communities together to produce that. So it's as if that your payoff personally for you also ends up benefiting everybody around you. It's not just you. Yeah. So, okay, was it worth it? Would you do it all over again, knowing what you needed to do? Was it worth it? Would you do it again?
Abso-freaking-lutely.
So why? Totally. Why do you say abso-freaking-lutely?
Because there's so much light and so much opportunity and so much wonderment in my life. There's so much joy, and joy it's just what it's all about. Several years ago I had a dream. Actually, maybe it was just about a year ago. I don't know, but I had a dream that I was on an alien spaceship, and there was a globe in front of us, or like a hologram of a globe, and the globe had all these lights on it, and there were lines between all the lights. And there were no words spoken between me and the aliens, but the concept was all that matters is whether or not you're on the grid. If you're in a high vibration, if you're in joy, bliss, harmony, peace, if you're in that vibratory level, you're on the grid. If you're in a lower vibratory level, you're not on the grid. And specifically, what was being communicated to me is that if I'm on the grid, I'm bringing a lot of people onto the grid because of how I walk through this world. And so it's important, very important for me to stay in my bliss and stay in my joy and bring other people along with me. Come on, we're creating a new earth. Let's all get our consciousness together and create this beautiful, peaceful, light-filled place that we all want to walk, that we all want to be.
And connecting to that, it's almost as if when you get lined up and you're able to have that, the divine flow through you're able to really be on that grid. If you're kind of, resisting it, putting everybody else first, it's almost as if if you had a garden hose, you'd be like kinking the hose.
Right.
Not allowing it to flow and not making that connection and impact that you can make for other people.
Right. And if I'm giving away everything to everybody else and I'm not taking care of myself where I can walk in light, then all of those people who are seeing me as an example and following my path, or it's not just my path, it's anybody's path to bliss, that is no longer there. On the very rare occasion that I have a low vibration, like people are like, what's going on with Bonnie? I've never seen her, but she's not smiling. So it's like really like throws everybody off.
I kind of also get this image of people like tuning into you. You throwing out a vibration that people can acclimate and tune into. So that's even more important for you to be in tune.
Because a higher vibration will override a lower vibration. I can see it. Like I traveled to help my mom move from Austin to Memphis, and I was traveling through the airport, and I could almost see like this bubble around me, and like I was just walking like all happy like I usually am, and I got on the airplane, and there's this woman who was sitting there looking at something, and she had this furrow in her brow, and she looked up and saw my smile, and she goes like that. You could just see this come up with her just from my energy field going to the airplane, and I just love that. I love to be able to be a big bubble of bliss and peace and influence the vibration of the beings around me wherever I go.
And that's actually one of my favorite things there is this point that your presence, going back to when you first started, you said the baby, and just their inherent worth that they're born into this experience with, and just your presence, just you sitting on an airplane, your presence matters. And if you were, furrowed browed and, worried about all these things that were happening, your presence wouldn't have had that same effect on this woman. your presence, just your being you, has an we probably will never understand the ripple effects of that. It's just something to know.
Right, and you as well, your vibration and presence brings up the vibrations around you, and everyone, that's who we are. We are meant to be this way. And when we're walking in our truth, other people around us are influenced and affected, and we're bringing up our families who, if we're sitting there like, oh, I've got to do the dishes and take care of, do all this stuff for my family, that we're not raising by vibration. What's more important, being the caregiver and doing everything for everybody else, or being in a high vibration where everybody around you gets to have their vibration raised by your vibration? It seems like, if you weigh those two things out, what's more important? High vibration, not every time.
Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna look at this from the perspective of someone who has not experienced that, and just see if the connection here makes it works. So let's say you're stuck in that place, and you're stuck in that, oh, I've got to do all these things, for all these people, and I don't have time to go be myself. I don't have time to go, be the light that I'm meant to be. Earlier, you shared that the first step in getting connected for you that you'd recommend would be meditation. And in this case, would you also agree that through meditation, you would be able to more have maybe an easier time getting to that centered place and disconnecting our claws from those doing habits and shifting into a being space?
Yeah, and an example I can use is I still am in a job where I have lots of things coming at me all the time. As a rehab counselor, I'm working with 200 clients in an 8-county area. It's involved, and there's a whole lot of busyness, all around me. And because I have a regular meditation practice, I know, like when I go from one client to the next, if I just walk slowly and really pay attention to the way the floor feels under my feet and take some deep breaths, in the 30 seconds to 1 minute it takes to walk down the hall, if I just walk more slowly, I can be present for all of my clients and really, or if I have a lot coming at me at my office, open up the window and look out the window at a cloud for just a little bit of time, it centers me back. And then all the things coming at me, I'm much more efficient and I can get done more quickly and more effectively instead of being like, wah, So it helps you to be able to do the things that you are, there are things that in life it's necessary we do. I mean, my dishes aren't sitting in a pile wet to the ceiling because, I do my dishes, but I'm sure to be present with that, and that makes it where it's less of an icky task for me.
So, okay, so let's say that a woman is really intrigued by hearing, really resonates with what you're saying, but is still a little reluctant and doesn't really even know what to do to put herself first. So what would you say would be a baby step? Just her dipping her toe in the water just to test something out. Like, what would you recommend she do just to test it, to see what it's like?
Well, I would say do something for yourself. Be gentle with yourself and do something for yourself. So, it's different for different women. Like, some women, they would love to have a spa day and go get a facial. That's not me. I'm not really into all the girly kind of thing. For some women, it's shopping, or for some women, it's getting out in nature. That's me. I'd rather get out in nature. So once a week, at least, do something just for you that it's going to fill you up and help you to be inspired.
Easy and doable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm going to shift that into just kind of closing up a little bit, and I'm wondering about you. Like, what are you most excited about these days? What's on the horizon for you?
Well, it's my intention, and it's coming together that both of my books will be published by the end of August. So I just did the final little finishing up of perfecting my book cover with a friend, and I got edits back that I've gone through, and I'm doing one final read-through of my novel, and I'm going to upload it onto CreateSpace and have it available on Amazon. My illustrator is working on my children's book. She says she'll have that done by the first week in August. So, again, that will be uploaded on CreateSpace for Amazon purchase. So those are really exciting, lovely things going on. My good friend Josh Smith is thinking he's going to produce some of my songs. So that's very lovely. And I've recently connected and made a close friendship with Eddie Watkins Jr., who's just this phenomenal musician. And I'm hoping maybe, he has a lot going on right now, but I'm hoping that he may decide that he wants to sing some of my songs. But whoever decides they're going to sing them, it's going to be great. I also have started to be promoted by Ozark Research Institute to different dowsing and healing groups across the country to travel and speak. I do several workshops. I do Your Child Play Date. I do Facebook and Through the Soul's Evolution. I do Living in the Bliss Vortex. I do a workshop called Dream Keeping that teaches skills of how to play in your dreamscape. I do a talk on seeing auras and feeling the energy fields, and I also am a Reiki master, so I teach Reiki healers and attune them to the Reiki energy. So I really love speaking, and I'm looking forward to traveling and speaking at different venues and getting to know more and more of the beautiful lights that are out there walking this planet with me.
Being that butterfly that you are, cross-pollinating everywhere you go.
Absolutely.
So what, you have a lot on the horizon that's just so, your life just sounds so fruitful. And I'm wondering if, what's on the horizon for you? Because we spoke about stretching ourselves, living on the edge. What do you think is on the horizon for you that's kind of pushing you or calling for you to stretch a little bit outside your comfort zone that you're kind of moving into now?
Well, I think that traveling and speaking is it's a stretch for me, to have the faith that Spirit's going to provide me a place to stay and that I'm going to actually make some money at that and not lose money. I don't know. I have my workshops set up where there's a cost per person for them, and the people in other places, my ego will say, oh, well, they don't know you. Why do they want to pay that much money to come to your workshop or whatever, because the ego still pops up. And to be able to just completely, let that go and just know that the mind that thought up the idea of me doing this is the same mind that holds the solution to all of the ways that it can be done. And that divine mind, I have access to all that information just by going within and really listening to that small, still voice inside me. And so there are challenges, and especially when I sing, I still feel nervous. The concert was a big stretch for me because I felt very nervous about singing in front of all those people, and I had to work with it. And I would get the knot in my stomach, and I would work with it and meditate with it. And but I went ahead and did it, and I had a good time with it, and it was a fun experience. So. Those are, I guess, the challenges or the green growing edges of my becoming right now.
Again, just sounds so full, such an exciting becoming that you're living in.
It is.
I didn't hear that. I'm sorry.
Oh, I said it is. It's very fun.
So now, just to kind of close down, if people want to connect with you about any of the things that you've shared, what's the best place for them to go?
I have a website that's bonnieoboyle.wordpress.com that talks about my workshops and my book. I haven't uploaded my new book cover yet, but hopefully I'll do that soon. I'm on Facebook. I have a inspirational songwriter page, and I'm also just Bonnie O'Boyle on on Facebook. You can look me up by my email address at bonnieangel777@cox.net. You can email me. Sometimes I miss emails. I'm not as vigilant about that as Facebook. I really am on Facebook a lot. I love networking and sending light out through that particular social media.
So I'll also include the links below and the videos so that it'll be easy for people to connect.
Wonderful.
So any parting words of wisdom? What else would you want a woman to know that you haven't already said?
Mm-hmm. Okay. I want to say I love you. I love you so much. And the most important thing is that you love yourself. That you know that you have the same value as that newborn. That little baby that you were born into this world to be is enough. That you are beautiful and precious. And that you are loved. Just be it. Just be your truth. Thank you.
So beautiful. Thank you, Bonnie. It's an honor to know you, and it's an honor to be able to interview you in this way.
Thank you. It's been a fun conversation.
Take care.
You too.